This is Daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. We'll start, of course, with our sister publication, This Day newspapers. Let's look at what This Day is saying. Just give me a moment there. All right. This Day newspapers. Amid worsening insecurity, Defense Minister seeks God's intervention to defeat terrorists. With three riders there, he says military claims massive airstrikes routing insurgents in Northeast. They are behind banditry in Imo, says the governor Zodima. Zulum tributes surrender of more than over 35,000 Boko Haram / ISWAP members to divine intervention. Then if you look at that picture there, the one down just below the headlines, you see Amechi. It says royal blessings for his presidential quest. Then if we go up, PDP announces new dates for form submission and screening, with two riders. All presidential governorship nomination forms to be submitted tomorrow. That's the 20th of April. Screening of presidential aspirants starts April 27. That's a week after the submission. And then in the orange strip just above the logo of This Day, quoting the Bible, presidency tells Cooker to avoid foolish controversies and dissensions. Right? We'll leave it there for this day.
Let's take a look at the Nation newspaper this morning. It says senators reps to court sustain Electoral Act Section 84, subsection 12. Lawmakers file grounds of appeal and ask for accelerated hearing. Also reports by the World Bank while economic recovery is slow. Wike seeks dissolution of EFCC ICPC over pardon of Darie and Yame. Also above the nameplate of This Day this morning, outrage over pupils gang sex in Dubai. Police launch probe school shots. More on that on page 2 of the Nation newspaper.
In the Punch, it's leading with electoral violence. 1,149 Nigerians killed. INEC suffers 42 attacks. The cries rising insecurity. Car dealers threaten to close stores this week over 15% levy from the customs. That's on page 30. Cross River, Taraba, Zamfara yet to pay minimum wage 4 years after. There's more. Chrisland school shut. Parents disagree over alleged rape. Police begin probe. And 5 months after Lagos fails to demolish defective Ikoyi skyscrapers.
Sure, you might not be interested in 4 years after no payment of minimum wage. Well, let's look at the Tribune newspaper, Nigerian Tribune. Afe Babalola to federal government, suspend 2023 elections, set up 6-month interim government. He says new constitution that will provide for part-time legislators, wants next president to be healthy, educated, not more than 60 years old. With that, cut it. Says Nigeria faces bankruptcy due to activities of corrupt leaders. You can get this on page 23. And then below those three pictures are the president and INEC chairman. APC, PDP, APGA, others notify INEC on presidential convention. Two riders, PDP to hold primaries May 29th, APC May 30, 31, and SGP 7 others keep mum on dates. You can find that on page 25 as well. And then just above the Tribune logo, it says governance relegated as politicians jostle for tickets.
Some international papers for you this morning. We begin with the Independent. There's a picture on the front page captioned Russia's bombardment intensified. Now that's showing firefighters battling a blaze yesterday in the city of Lviv, where missile strikes left at least 7 people dead. More headlines on the front of the Independent. Long COVID sufferers missing out on benefits. says less than 1% of patients receiving disability payments.
And The Guardian UK, number 10 suspected of being targeted by Pegasus spyware, that Johnson's been told.
Well, the Daily Mail also has that about spies hacking into number 10. But then, just under the headlines there, you see sports star's headache. Ronaldo's grief as newborn twin son dies.
And the iNewspaper says nowhere is safe. Russia's major escalation leads to fears for Ukrainian civilians.
And this is The Times now, pardon me. The Times. Zelensky, next phase of the war has begun.
I think we can now go to Emmanuel Bello.
Yes, we can.
Emmanuel, good morning. Glad to have you join us on day break this morning after the Easter break. Well, let's start with our sister publication, Emmanuel. Amid worsening insecurity, Defense Minister seeks cost intervention to defeat terrorists. Zulum actually alluded to that. One of the writers says that Zulum attributes surrender of over 35,000 Boko Haram / ISWAP members to divine intervention. Of course, you see here Rotimi Ahmed there going to the Oni of Ife for traditional blessings. What do you make of that headline by this day?
Well, good morning. Yeah, the headline captures the story itself, and it also captures the frustration and the despondency, if you wish, and even to some extent the lack of faith in what is going on. The defense minister is seeking God's intervention. Now, countries around the world, we all believe in God, but you see, countries are not run like that. You run them on planning. You run them on proper planning. You run them on intelligence, not just intervention from the divine. That is there too. But you don't come to your people and say, look, it's time to seek divine interventions. You talk to them about your plans, your policies. You talk to them about your security, architecture. You talk to them about how you are planning to secure them. That is the work of governance. After all, if we think all we need was divine intervention, then we better revert to theocracy, which is the rule of divinity by prophets and by gods. But maybe this is a religious time. People are giving Easter messages. The Salah is underway, and so much religion in the land. You have the presidency also writing very copious verses of the Bible to attack Father Kuka, replying him in the language he understands best, which is from the Bible. So it's the season, and people they are quoting from the Bible, and we love to do that. We are one of the most religious people in the world. We talk about divine intervention. But the kind of security crisis we are faced with, and Governor Zulum saying that it took divine intervention for 35,000 terrorists to surrender. There's too much talk of divine intervention. That can happen, but nations in these modern times are run through policies, through planning, through serious governance, through serious leadership. That is how you run governments. You run them almost scientifically. You don't just depend on some intervention, some divine intervention to deal with crisis. And because these are problems, and they are serious problems, and there are serious solutions out there. And in the case of our security problem, all sorts of solutions have been suggested to this government. So what the government will be needing beyond divine intervention, beyond talking about quoting the Bible and quoting scriptures, is to actually have the political will and to put the boots on the ground, so to say, and to hit the ground running. The president promising that in 11 months he was going to deal with some of this crisis. Those are the kind of reassurances the nation will be looking forward to, rather than just asking us to look up to the skies for some pie. Some people will say, look, proper planning, good leadership, some political will, and putting in place some of the suggestions made for how to secure a country is what is needed right now, beyond prayers and some of these hopes.
Definitely, Emmanuel. That headline on this day is definitely not reassuring for the citizens of Nigeria. Let's take a look at the Tribune. It says Afe Babalola asking the federal government to suspend 2023 elections and also to set up a 6-month interim government after this administration ends. Now, this comes as some electoral violence has been going on. If you take a look at the Punch newspaper, it says 1,149 Nigerians killed. INEC also suffers 42 attacks, and the commission has lost 9,000 card readers. Do you think Afe Babalola's call for a suspension of 2023 elections is extreme, or do you think he has some sort of point?
Well, he's not a small voice to be toyed with. I mean, that's Afe Babalola we're talking about. He's a serious-minded Nigerian who's run businesses and a lawyer of repute, saying those things, and he must have done his due diligence, his observations. But there are people too that will say that, look, there was ample time for this government to prepare for this transition. INEC has not been complaining. INEC said that it's ready to go about this election. Of course, those violence happened. We saw an INEC official getting shot the other day in Imo State. Those are the sort of things that worry people, and you have the figures there, the kind of officials that have died and the electoral violence. The data are there to suggest that maybe all is not well for an election. But there are Nigerians who are really, really ready. If you look at the turnout in the voters' cards collection and all that, and even the push by certain bodies, agencies to call out people to vote, you find out that people are really ready for these elections. The politicians are also energized across the divide, across both at the state level, at the federal level. People ready for an election. So, and the electoral laws are already out there to suggest that people are prepared for this election. Not many people will take kindly to Afe Babalola's call for another extension for some kind of time limit. But of course, I think he's talking to the fact that we've got serious problems that have not been solved, and that those elections, I think Father Kuka almost alluded to that yesterday when he said 2023 is not the end of our crisis. But be that as may, a lot of people will want to see an election. Because this year's the next year's election, it's an election of that will actually define the future of this country. A lot of people sick and tired of what is going on, want to see some changes, and the only way we can do that is through an election. And from all indication, INEC giving all the assurances that if there's an election today, it will be able to organize one. So I think a lot of people will rather go for an election rather than some kind of interim government that Afe Babalola is suggesting.
Still talking elections in the last 60 seconds, Emmanuel. In Lagos, the Nation newspaper, senators reps to court sustain Electoral Act 84, subsection 12. But I'm concerned about the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. We hear he's been giving the green light by a body called the GAC. First of all, is the GAC constitutional? And why should they be deciding who wants to, if a governor will be getting a second term in his position? Isn't it a call for the opposition to step up its game in Lagos?
Yes, that's right. And if you look at that clause, and the senators and the reps are all in agreement that, look, in one of the reports, actually telling the courts not to do anything about it, because for many people that is the democratic way to. That is what we deepen our democracy. That also to enhance elections. That clause, and of course the courts, the judiciary, through the Attorney General, trying everything to expunge that, but. In most cases, come to stay. In some states already, governors, for instance, are telling their wards, those who want to run for elections to step down, and some people have been complying, and it's because of that clause. So that's the back and forth you're having, whether it's in Lagos State or anywhere around that clause itself. But one paper coming out boldly with senators and reps. One paper reporting that senators and reps are telling the courts that, look, don't expunge this, keep it there, because that is how to guard or to safeguard democracy. Let everybody run, as every other person, and not, running with the undue advantage of being a governor or being in office
but you step down and then you run for office. That's what that clause is all about, and I think a lot of Nigerians will go with it.
All right, Emmanuel Bello, we'll leave it there. No time to talk about the fact that free states have not paid a minimum wage in 4 years. That's the president.